Nobody has more respect for women than I do. Nobody.
Hillary Clinton wants to abolish it, believe me. She wants to abolish our Second Amendment.
I think they didn't deny it. I don't think anybody denied it.
Other presidents did not call. They'd write letters, and some presidents didn't do anything.
Many people have come out and said I'm right.
You really do have to ask yourself, where does it stop?
Hello and welcome to Fallacious Trump, the podcast where we use the insane ramblings of a hungry hypocrite to explain logical fallacies. I'm your host, Jim.
And I'm your other host, Mark. A logical fallacy is an error in reasoning that results in bad or invalid arguments. And the logical fallacy we're looking at this week is the Sanctimony Fallacy. Hungry hypocrite. Brilliant. That's really good.
Yeah. Did you see that article where they said, someone said that he ate like a Big Mac and a quarter pounder and a filet-o-fish and a large fries in one sitting?
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ. How much longer can he possibly survive?
But the thing is, he's consequently absolutely chock full of preservatives. They'll put him in the ground and they'll dig him up in 30 years' time. He'll still be there.
Yeah.
The modern mummification.
I mean, you can see it happening, the mummification to him at the moment.
Yeah.
It's very clearly happening right now.
Mind you, the supersize me guy died of cholesterol or something.
Yeah, I think he only did that for the show. I don't think he was constantly eating McDonald's all the rest of the time after he finished the documentary.
And it was just a slice of life. It was just a peek on what goes on for him.
Also,
he's still doing it. Been doing it up till then.
Also, he lied a lot about the stuff that he put in that documentary anyway, so don't want to listen to the media.
Yeah. No.
Anyway.
Yeah.
The sanctimony, I'm calling it sanctimony, you call it sanctimony.
As in sanctimonious and sanctimony.
Anyway,
yeah.
Sanctimony, that's how I pronounce it.
Okay, you're putting the emphasis on a different syllable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, sanctimony is when someone pretends that they are morally superior. And so this fallacy comes from when someone does that in order to get you to accept their point of view, usually either in the absence of evidence that they are in fact morally taking the high ground, or in the face of contradictory evidence that actually they are the ones not being moral in this situation.
And it therefore shuts down any dissent.
Sure. Yeah, it's a thought terminating kind of thing.
Right.
In
there
that
you
respect.
go.
Yeah, and I was struggling a little bit to figure out what fallacy we were going to do this week.
Mm-hmm.
I said to Mark that I'd tell him like last Monday, and then I didn't get around to doing that. And I was kind of like trying to find examples, and then all of the shit that's happened this week.
Yeah.
And this one just kind of stood out to me.
Well, there you go. That's it.
Well,
yeah. That's exactly it.
Yeah, because they're justifying all the worst possible shit as being the right things to do, and that they are on the right side of history, and they are the ones who are doing everything right, and their opponents are evil and deserve everything they get, essentially.
Yeah, and of course, if you object and you argue with them, then you are on the side of the evil.
Absolutely.
Because they have claimed the higher ground.
Yeah.
In a Star Wars prequel kind of way.
Yeah. But we're not going to talk about all of the shit that's happened just yet.
Yeah.
Because we are going to talk about it later. So that's not one of the examples that I'm actually going to use. This first example from Trump comes from him talking about Democrats and abortion.
Joe Biden claims he has empathy for the vulnerable, yet the party he leads supports the extreme late-term abortion of defenseless babies right up until the moment of birth. Democrat leaders talk about moral decency, but they have no problem with stopping a baby's beating heart in the 9th month of pregnancy. Democrat politicians refuse to protect innocent life, and then they lecture us about morality.
I mean, obviously he's lying about all of that stuff.
True. Yeah.
But he's framing it as, look at how immoral these people are, and they claim to be the moral ones. Yeah. But actually they're prepared to just frequently kill babies. It's not true, but it's setting him up as the bastion of morality and saying that the Democrats are immoral and that's why you shouldn't vote for them, you should vote for me.
And it also distracts you from all of the immoral things that he's done, about to do, has done, is doing, and will do.
Yeah. And inherent in this fallacy is an aspect of moral relativism, in as much as there is no objective morality. There is,
right.
To some extent, societal agreed upon within certain groups morality of what is the right thing to do and what is the wrong thing to do. And part of the difference between what Republicans and Democrats view as moral is the different things they value.
Right, yes.
Because obviously Democrats, typically people on the left, liberals, progressives, etc., value caring about our fellow man, our other people, and think that therefore the things that you do that help other people and don't cause them pain and harm is the thing that you need to do to be moral, right?
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
Yeah.
The Republicans and people on the right tend to value over that supporting people in the same group as you.
Right. Yeah.
So if that means that people who are not in the same group as you are harmed in order to, in their view, protect people who are in the same group as you, that's a morally okay way to be.
Yeah.
Because what you're valuing is protecting your in-group. We
Yeah.
disagree on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
That leads to bizarre and extreme circumstances where it seems so clear on both sides that the other side is being immoral. And when you look at studies that have been done on people viewing morality and viewing the morality of their in-group versus their out-group, essentially, people pretty much universally see themselves and people like them as more moral than people who are unlike them, particularly with regard to like political views. And they've done studies where they've kind of got people to predict what other people would do in particular situations in terms of like sharing money and all that different kinds of things that they've done. And then when they test it, actually people are generally more similar to each other than everyone thinks.
Yeah. Talking to somebody this weekend about they were reading the book Humankind. It's a series of essays that kind of lead to a conclusion that left alone, people are generally nice to each other and supportive of one another.
Yeah.
And so he says, if you just stop watching the news, your view of humanity would come through naturally as being kind to one another. And his kind of examples are, I don't know where his evidence comes from, but his examples are that early hunter-gatherer groups were not at war with each other. Even if they met each other in expanding across the globe, they would just share knowledge and support each other and, party, interbreed, all that stuff.
There is a lot of evidence for altruism and cooperation and support for other people and even in other groups across society and humanity as a whole. And that is harder to think of examples of than times when it seems people are evil.
Yeah.
Partly because that is much more vivid.
Yeah.
And it's more frequently reported on, as you said, when you watch the news. That's what you see. And availability bias means that those are the things that you can bring to mind.
Yeah, one of his examples is that the people suffering in the Blitz in London would, across the classes and across, creeds and colours and races, would all look out for each other. And that was evidence of people doing good. He kind of glosses over the fact that it's the Blitz. So the background against which people are doing good is people doing
That's
not
the difficulty,
good.
Is that even if we accept the hypothesis that generally, overall, on average, people are good, such a lot of really bad shit. And particularly at the moment, we are seeing such a lot of really bad shit. Yeah. And we are seeing people justifying the really bad shit in ways that we can't balance that with them being good people.
Yes.
It's not possible to look at the things that people are doing and saying about the other things other people are doing.
Yeah.
And say, well, generally everyone's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, because there's a lot of absolute bastards out there. There's such a lot of them right now that
and
we're
we
seeing.
elect them into power. We elect them to office. That's the thing. It still depresses me on a daily basis that oh God, they're only in it. They're only out for their own interests. How did we get people that are only after their own interests? How did they get to run the country?
I mean,
Yeah.
It's the old Zaphod Beeblebrox problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
That the people who are in power are the worst possible people to have power. Because that's the kind of person who seeks power.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And the
normal people would know that that's a terrible situation to be in and wouldn't want to be in that position.
Yeah.
So
it makes you wonder why we've got into this notion of democracy with, of the demos, of the people. We call it democracy, but it isn't. Why do we operate in that system? And then that calls to mind that Scandinavian country that didn't have a government for 18 months. And things just went along fine.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do away with it. Never mind get rid of the monarchy. Let's get rid of government.
Oh, you're going libertarian now.
Yeah.
That's a very dangerous road to go
I'm
down.
with Guy Fawkes. Yeah. I think he was morally right. Yeah. Yes.
It's harder and harder to argue with that position.
Yeah. Yes. And yet we burn him as a heretic and a bad guy.
Anyway.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
Our second Trump example is also kind of abortion related because it's talking about Roe v. Wade. This was a town hall that he did just before the election in 2020.
If Roe v. Wade is ultimately overturned in the future, what protections would be put in place or kept for where the mother's life is in jeopardy in relation to high-risk pregnancies?
Well, again, I'm not ruling on this, and Roe v. Wade is something that a lot of people would say, obviously, you're going to speak to somebody. I also, two other great justices, Justice Gorsuch and Justice Kavanaugh, I never spoke to them about Roe v. Wade. I never spoke to them about election laws. I never spoke to them about anything. And I've done the right thing from a moral standpoint. I don't even know from a legal standpoint, but it was the right thing.
So that was bullshit and mad, but in there, he
calling
claimed
those people great justices for one.
But it also had nothing to do with the question she was asking. But we will kind of come back to why he was talking about those two justices later on.
Right.
But basically, just the fact that in there he was saying, well, regardless of what happens with Roe v. Wade, and he talks about maybe it go back to the States, maybe it won't, but whatever. He says, I did the right thing morally.
Yeah.
It's just an assertion.
Yeah.
He's just, as far as he's concerned, kind of doing whatever it was that he did to get, luck, basically, that he got so many Supreme Court picks. But choosing ones that he knew would do their best to overturn Roe v. Wade, essentially, was, it's the right thing to do. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, whatever the legal stuff, well, we'll come back to that in my example as well. Yeah.
And now is the time, I think, for Mark's British politics corner.
Whilst on Sky News, Keir Starmer's aide Darren Jones avoided questions, particularly given that Starmer was an international law lawyer, and the questions about which international law permits a foreign government to go into another sovereign country and arrest its president and take them to an American jail. So if Kemi Badenoch didn't avoid it at all. She justified the action of the Trump administration and shut down any dissent.
What really matters is making sure that Venezuela has a transition to a democracy. Something we've been calling for and working on. Nothing happened until the US went in. Now, the legal basis is for them to explain, but morally, I think that they have done the right thing.
Never mind the legal stuff. Morally, we're right. Utterly illegal. She contravenes every single international law. And then she goes on to talk about Greenland. And she went, oh, no, can't do it in Greenland because that's democratically, they're European. So they are democratic and they don't have despotic leaders and blah, 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 blah.
It does give you an interesting second bite at the apple, this, doesn't it? Because we talked previously in another episode about the appeal to law, where people claim that if something is technically allowed, then it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And Trump frequently said, well, I'm allowed to do this, even when he's not allowed to do it, but relying on the fact that it's an allowed thing to do, therefore it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And with this one, you can say, well, I don't know about the legal issues, but morally, this is the right thing to do.
Yes, exactly. It kind of transcends all that stuff, and it does. It just shuts everybody. Yeah, laws are all very well, but as we know, there is a higher power, a higher rubric by which we operate, which is whether it's morally right. And we're just saying it's morally right doesn't make it morally right.
No, and of course the thing she's claiming is morally right here is kidnapping a foreign leader from a sovereign country because you want to.
Yeah.
Because you can.
Yes. And then they're finding all sorts of justification for doing that. So, he was
narco-terrorist.
Lost, and he lost the election and didn't decide to, and wouldn't stand down. And they, well, hang on a minute, wasn't Trump advocating exactly that with the 2020 stuff?
Oh, yeah. Every example they've come up with, there's like 5 other leaders who did the same thing, and Trump was like their best friend.
And also the thing that he pardoned the leader of Honduras.
Yes.
On international drug smuggling charges.
Yeah, which is what they're getting this guy for.
Yeah, whilst bombing the fuck out of
he's been
them.
He couldn't be clearer that it's about the oil. He won't shut up about the fact that it's the oil.
Yeah. So. You can rely on him to actually give away the real reason. Yeah. Behind all the moral justification. It becomes an immoral position.
Yeah, when they were on Air Force One and he was talking to the press pool, Lindsey Graham was saying, "Oh, this is the right thing to do because he was a bad guy who's broken all kinds of laws and like looked very pleased with himself." And then Trump came in and went, "And of course the oil as well. They're getting the oil."
Fuck! You've just ruined it. Yeah. Equally, none of the sycophantic reporters say, "Hang on a minute." So it's not any of that stuff. It's just about the oil.
Chucked off the back of the plane, do they?
Yeah. Yeah. Second example, when Zack Polanski got elected as the leader of the Green Party, Labour's housing secretary, Steve Reed, said of him, "You have to question the morality of an individual who used to make money by pretending he could hypnotise women to get them a bigger bra size. That is the action of a con artist, not a serious, caring individual." But on the day that he got elected, Zack Polanski appeared on Good Morning Britain and says this in answer.
No, it's not something I would ever do. So as I said, I did an article about body image. This was with a Sun journalist. She then said, "Is this something you would like to experiment with?" I said, "As long as you make it clear it's not a service I do, it's not something I charge." It was a ridiculous article 12 years ago as an actor in the newspaper. And I think when these questions come from legacy and mainstream media, it often sounds like it's trying to silence left-wing politicians who are saying, "I want to look at inequality in this country. I want to look at the things that actually matter, like the ongoing genocide in Gaza, the fact there's homeless people in the street, the fact I spent a couple of hours yesterday with migrant workers who are saying they're not even being paid a basic wage in this country to run our National Health Service."
So it strikes me that it's an odd thing for the ostensibly left-wing Labour Party to view other left-wing parties as outside of their group, sufficient to say, "Oh, that kind of behaviour is morally iffy, so we're going to besmirch this guy from a moral standpoint," given that he's actually questioning all sorts of policies that the Labour Party got into power on the back of. And
mostly abandoned since.
Yes, exactly. So it's, and he's coming in and saying, we need to tax the rich, deal with the genocide in Gaza, all of those kind of things that the Labour Party shied away from.
Yeah.
So it was an appalling piece of behaviour on Steve Reed's part. So our third example actually was the second one that occurred to me beyond Tony Blair's moral standpoint on the Iraq War, was David Cameron talking about comedian Jimmy Carr's tax affairs. And this is 2012, and it still haunts him now. There's kind of stuff pops up on my feed of Jimmy Carr doing his really quite creepy and annoying combination of lewd and scatological humour with sort of philosophical homilies about the beauty of the human spirit. It just doesn't sit well with me. But people still shout out, what about the tax stuff? So, and this is in 2012. So in June the 19th, 2012, it was revealed that Jimmy Carr was a major beneficiary of the K2 scheme, which is about offshore sheltering money in offshore tax havens. and he had 3.3 million annually sheltering there, and he was paying 1% tax. The then Prime Minister, David Cameron, said this.
If you want to arrange your tax affairs so you support your pension, you plan effectively for your family, that is one thing, and that is acceptable. But frankly, some of these schemes where people are parking huge amounts of money offshore and taking loans back to just minimise their tax rates, it is not morally acceptable.
So the interesting thing about this is if you're politically astute vis-a-vis the date, you'll realise that 2012 was when the Panama Papers got revealed, which showed that lots of the political class had lots of stuff offshore, stacks of money offshore. So this is David Cameron making a lot of, methinks she does protest too much, making a lot of noise to distract people away from the fact that the Panama Papers revealed that his father had set up offshore companies specifically to avoid tax.
We all suffer as a result, so it's important we do get our own house in order.
But we've discovered that Mr. Cameron's own father held assets offshore, assets left to his family after his death 5 years ago. Ian Cameron was an expert in offshore funds. After a successful career as a stockbroker, he was involved in some of the earliest offshore investment trusts in the 1980s. One was set up in Panama in 1982. It was called Blairmore Holdings, named after the Cameron family estate in Scotland. In its 2006 prospectus, it said, "The fund should be managed and conducted so that it does not become resident in the United Kingdom for United Kingdom taxation purposes."
So his dad did that, set that up exactly to do what he's saying Jimmy Carr is morally wrong for doing. Yeah. And also, Cameron had been the beneficiary of offshore savings inherited from his father. And despite saying he paid all the taxes due, this is what he said.
Has he benefited from the offshore fund set up by his father, Ian, Blairmore Holdings? Today, talking to ITV News, he finally admitted he did.
Samantha and I had a joint account, and we owned 5,000 units in Blairmore Investment Trust, which we sold in January 2010. That was worth something like £30,000.
Is there a profit on it?
I'd paid income tax on the dividends, but there was a profit on it, but it was less than the capital gains tax allowance, so I didn't pay capital gains tax, but it was subject to all the UK taxes in all the normal way.
Yeah, so consequently, the credibility of his campaign against tax havens somewhat shredded, and he's got this annoying thing. Well, it's revealed when he's angry. It's revealed even more that his top lip goes very tight across his teeth, so he looks like he's hissing at you through his teeth. He looks like he's really angry, and I think it's a badge of honour if reporters can get him to do that. So just like he said, "Oh, I paid all of that stuff," Jimmy Carr himself said he conducted his financial affairs more responsibly, and he faced a bill of £600,000, which he paid.
Yeah, I mean, technically, he didn't even really need to do that because the stuff he did was legal.
Yeah.
It was just, as a public figure, made him look like he was getting away with something. But he wasn't actually breaking any laws.
No, and nor was Cameron. So Cameron's argument was, well, I wasn't breaking any laws. It was below the threshold where I had to pay inheritance tax, and I paid all the tax on that. Well, that's exactly what Jimmy Carr did. So where's your grounds for saying this is morally unacceptable? It was just, it's an entire
for
look
the record,
over there.
I agree that shouldn't be an option for people. I don't think it should be a thing where people can get away with having it offshore and not paying tax because, fuck them, tax the rich. But,
yes, exactly.
But arguing against people who are following the rules that your government runs and saying they're being immoral for doing so is crazy.
Yeah, the kinds of things your father set up and you are the direct beneficiary of, that's the even more galling thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And also in 2016, when the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner, Catherine Hudson, was asked to look into the parliamentary standards of Cameron's behaviour at the time, decided not to investigate. And the office refused to explain the reasons for this decision.
Shocking.
Yeah, but not unexpected. Daddy! understand me now. If sometimes you see that I'm mad, don't you know no one alive can always be an angel? You say everything's gone wrong, you only see the bad. But I got no soul and my intentions are good.
My intentions are good.
Oh Fred, please don't let me be misunderstood. No, sometimes, Daddy, I'm so love-free over the joy that's hard to hide. And then sometimes again it seems that all I seek is money. And then you're bound to see my other side. I'm just an arsehole whose morals are fried.
Morals are fried.
Oh, Fred, please let me find those fallacies in the wild. Nina Simone there with a little help from an AI trump. Don't let me be misunderstood.
Wow.
My intentions are good.
That was something.
Yeah.
So, in the Fallacy in the Wild, we'd like to talk about the Fallacy of the Week from a non-political perspective. And our first example this week comes from Witness, the Harrison Ford, Conor McGillis film. If you haven't seen Witness, it's about a policeman who has the witness to a homicide is an Amish kid, and he has to protect, in this instance, the Amish kid and his mother, and he takes them to his sister's house to kind of be looked after for the night until they can be taken to the police station or whatever. And she objects to being used in this way.
I told you I had company.
Where's Jason and Billy?
Upstairs asleep.
You got a man in the house and the kids are upstairs?
That's none of your business. So keep your holier-than-thou mouth shut. Anyway, they like Fred.
Fred? Now we got Fred.
So his sister is, I think, reasonably saying, like, why are you dumping this pair of complete strangers with me? Yeah. And his answer to deflect from that, completely irrelevant to what she is talking about, is, oh, you've got company, where are your kids? And how, you know, why have you got a man in the house with your kids upstairs?
Yeah.
And for suggesting she's being immoral in doing that, and therefore doesn't have a leg to stand on when she's saying he shouldn't bring random witnesses round to stay at her house. It's such a weird argument.
Yeah, but it kind of it distracts her. It kind of it takes her attention away from the fact that what he's doing might be considered a little bit exploitative. You know, and a little bit assumptive.
Yeah, he doesn't even thank her for like helping.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But that because he's set up as a bad guy and eventually comes around and you know, goes native and becomes pretty much Amish.
Absolutely.
So
our second example is from The Big Bang Theory. And this is an episode where Sheldon goes to visit his mum as a kind of surprise. And looking through the window before going in, he sees her in flagrante with a man on the sofa, and later on confronts her about it.
Who was he?
His name is Ron. I met him at my prayer group.
How long have you been involved with him?
A few months.
And of those few months, how long have you been a demented sex pervert?
That is no way to speak to your mother.
Perhaps not. But it is a way to speak to a woman who quoted the Bible to me my whole life and then desecrates one of Ethan Allen's finest sofas.
I will give you one opportunity, young man, to apologize.
Or what?
Or I will send you to your room.
That's ridiculous. I am a grown man. I am a professional scientist, and I currently occupy the moral high ground.
Go to your room.
But I occupy the moral high ground.
So he is calling her out basically on her hypocrisy for kind of very religious views and then not acting the way she's brought him up. But he's justifying his insulting her and not apologising by saying, well, I'm in the right. I'm the one who's being moral here and you're not.
Yeah.
So,
but then she doesn't, and he's somewhat flabbergasted because it doesn't
work.
Terminate the conversation.
Yeah.
Because because you would expect to say, while I occupy the moral high ground, you go, okay, yeah, fair enough, that's it. But she just goes, go to your room.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a fully grown adult and a respected scientist. Yeah. Yeah. Go to your room.
So our final example is from Ted 2.
Yay.
The sequel to Seth MacFarlane's directorial debut.
Yeah.
And in this film, Ted, the sentient and alive teddy bear that is Mark Wahlberg's best friend, basically he's gone to court to argue his personhood because there is a question over whether he is a person or property. And this is part of the opening statement from his lawyer.
150 years ago, a slave by the name of Dred Scott sued to prove that he was a person and not a piece of property. He lost. And as history has shown us, that wasn't justice. In every civil rights conflict, we are only able to recognize the just point of view years after the fact. And when the next conflict comes along, we're once again blind to it as it's happening. Well, this is different, we say, but it isn't. It is the same beast, just wearing a different face, and it's happening again today. So I urge you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, not to be a footnote on the wrong side of history.
Yeah. So her argument basically is, if you don't accept Ted's argument, then you're on the wrong side of history. You're the ones who are immoral, and we are on the moral side. We're the right side of history. Yeah. And I mean, there's other arguments obviously put forward in the case, but this is her emotional push to the jury to try and get them on her side.
Yes, is to stack up the lessons of history against them before she's kind of set out anything else, just to say, oh yeah, well, we don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So we're gonna play fake news, folks. I love the game. It's a great game.
I understand the game as well as anybody. As well as anybody.
Yes, it's time for Fake News, the game where I read out 3 Trump quotes, 2 of which are real and 1 I made up, and Mark has to figure out which one is fake news.
Now, I don't want to be all pietistic and baselessly judgmental from the view up here, my high horse, but looking down my nose at this dodgy scoring system is leading me inevitably to conclude that at its core, its moral values are shot, and the win should just be handed over without any further ado.
Well, I don't know about the points or the legal aspects of this, but I'm definitely in the right in the way that I'm conducting this.
Yeah.
This game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's not possible to be argued against that.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, you can make any points you like about how it's actually run,
how it's
mathematically,
rigged,
whether it's fair and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But, morally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I held the high ground.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I did mention earlier that Trump was talking about the other justices, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh. This is where that comes from, essentially, because this is that same town hall. This was October 2020. He was talking about the imminent confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett as the latest Supreme Court justice before the election. Savannah Guthrie, who was interviewing him, was basically asking whether he thought that getting Amy Coney Barrett confirmed would help him if there were any challenges to the election results and whether she would rule in his favour.
Right.
So here are some things he said about that concept.
Yeah.
Statement number 1. I think Amy Coney Barrett would be a phenomenal good thing for the Supreme Court. And I think she will be confirmed. We're going to get that done very quickly. People say we're rushing. We're not rushing. But we do have to make sure that it happens before, because everyone knows what's happening with the Democrats trying to rig the mail-in ballots. We know that. You know that. Everyone knows it. So somebody needs to be in a place where that can be looked at. But she can rule any way she wants.
Okay. Yeah, but she can rule any way she wants, right? Yeah.
Statement number 2.
Mm-hmm.
A Supreme Court judge does not have... They can make their own decision. They actually have additional power to make that decision. It would be totally up to her. I would think that she would be able to rule either for me or against me, being I don't see any conflict whatsoever. We have an election coming up. I think it's the most important election in the history of our country. If, for any chance, and it probably won't, and I hope it doesn't ever get to the Supreme Court. But if it did, I would think that she would rule one way or the other. I would think so.
Yeah. Yes, that's pretty much guaranteed.
Probably,
yeah.
And statement number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Because believe it or not, I never asked her about it. I never talked about it. I didn't talk about any of the obvious things that you could talk about. And I think a lot of people in my position might. But in speaking to a lot of very brilliant people and people that do this for a living, they say it's better not to talk. So I talked to her about life. I talked to her about the fact, would you like to do this? Are you willing to do this? Because it's a tremendous burden. The answer was yes. She's unbelievably well qualified, but I never spoke to her about these various questions.
Well, the first 2 have got the phenomenal ellipsis, good thing whilst he works out what he's going to say. And then the other one doesn't have, and then ellipsis whilst he thinks of what he's got to say. But it's got that gag there all the way up there, but I think she will rule one way or the other, which either he is stupid enough to say that, or you made it up.
I mean, that's
that's
always the thing. Isn't it?
Basically, the fundamental.
This game goes.
I've just happened upon the function of this game. Yeah, but the thing about you're willing to do this? It's almost got a. The answer was yes. Sir. There's a missing sir in there. Does he say brilliant? Very brilliant people. Feels very English. Okay, I mean, on the basis of that gag. Get all the way up there, and I think she'll rule one. Now you've just talked myself out of it. I think number 2 is the one you made up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So of the other 2, which are you more convinced by?
The third one, number 3. Are you willing to do it? Yes, unbelievably well qualified. Blah blah blah. And now you're going to tell me that was made up.
Well, number 3.
Yeah.
Is real.
Believe it or not, I never asked her about it. I never talked about it. I didn't talk about any of the obvious things that you could talk about. And I think a lot of people in my position might. But in speaking to a lot of very brilliant people and people that do this for a living, they say it's better not to talk. So I talked to her about life. I talked to her about the fact, would you like to do this? Are you willing to do this? Because it's a tremendous burden. The answer was yes. She's unbelievably well qualified, but I never spoke to her about these various questions.
Yeah. Wow. Because it's just utter flannel, isn't it? Because it's clearly obvious. Because, it's a tremendous, but she's unbelievably well qualified. He rarely says that about people that don't agree with him. So it's going, of course he asked her.
I'm prepared to believe that he didn't talk to her about it, but because basically she was just chosen by the Heritage Society or Foundation or whatever. She was on a very short list of people who would definitely rule in his favour.
Yeah.
If this were to happen.
Yeah.
And more than anything else, who would be likely to overturn Roe v. Wade given the opportunity.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
never needed to ask what she felt about specific things because the list was always pre-vetted.
Yes. So I asked her about life.
Life, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So number 1.
You also think number 1 was real?
Yeah.
And number 1?
Yeah.
Is fake news.
Oh, nice work. Yeah. So it was, yes. So the second one. So that is based on the second one.
So that means
but it's more
he
bland.
Stupid enough to say
yes
that she would rule one way or the
Oh,
other.
my God. Yeah.
A Supreme Court judge does not have, they can make their own decision. And they actually have additional power to make that decision. It would be totally up to her. I would think that she would be able to rule either for me or against me. I don't see any conflict whatsoever. We have an election coming up. I think it's the most important election in the history of our country. If for any chance, and it probably won't, and I hope it doesn't ever get to the Supreme Court, but if it did, I would think that she would rule one way or the other. I would think so.
Wow.
I would think so. One way or the other.
Yeah.
Probably.
She's either going to rule
Yeah.
or against.
Maybe she just won't be able to decide.
Wow. Yeah.
No, yeah.
I would think. I think so. I mean, she's superb. She's unbelievably well qualified. She might be able to come down on one side or the other. Wow. Right. I was fooled by the blandness of one. But yeah, that really. Yeah, she will be confirmed. We're going to get that done quickly. Blah 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 blah. It should have been that whole rigged the mail-in ballots. Should have been the tell. God damn it.
Well, we do have a few social contestants on Patreon. Richard Thunder Hopkins says, I can't find my glasses and the text is too small to see, but I can say with absolute certainty that all are fake news, especially if Trump said them. He's just the worst.
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
Absolutely nailed it. Yes. Yeah.
Renee Z says, this is difficult. Good luck, Mark. I'm choosing number 2 as fake news because of the last 2 sentences. I would think that she would rule one way or the other. I would think so.
I
These
know.
just seem too much like a great Jim fake. Who knows?
Yes, I know. And Jim knew it. He bloody knew that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And
wow.
Anders says it's a coin flip between 2nd and 3rd place on the wildly unethical scale. And lo and behold, I think this must be the runner-up. Number 2 it is. No way, I changed my mind. No way he hasn't been more unethical at least twice. I changed my answer to number 3.
Wow. Yeah, Renee, you're absolutely right. It was just the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good gag, but it wasn't my gag.
Yeah, good gag. And then you went, okay, I'll put that one in. And then I'll just write one that's less than that, which will make
less
that one stand
less
out.
Funny.
Yeah. God damn it.
And it's time for the part of the show that this week at least is called The Extent to Which ICE Can Go Fuck Themselves Is Not a Logical Fallacy.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I fully intended to talk about Venezuela in this section.
Yeah.
And
then
then
this happened.
A absolute bastard in Minnesota shot a woman in the face. And we have to talk about that.
Yeah. And of course, the entirety of the Trump administration are just going, well, she fucking deserved it.
Oh, they've gone into full gaslighting mode.
Yeah. Even in the face of actual footage.
Loads of
what
footage.
actually
Loads
happened.
of footage. Yeah.
Not least recorded by the guy that shot her.
And this is a thing I'm not going to say very often, in Kristi Noem's defense.
Mm-hmm. Don't ever say that again.
I think her press conference of lies was before she knew any footage was available.
Right. Okay.
So I can see why she fully thought she would get away with utterly making up a whole scenario of ICE agents having to kind of push their car out of a snowdrift that it was stuck in, or some bullshit that she just made up out of whole cloth.
Yeah.
And wasn't expecting there to be about 8 angles of what actually happened.
Yeah.
I can give Trump no such benefit of the doubt for his blatant gaslighting, because he absolutely, I mean, not only he attached a video to the tweet that he sent, or the Truth or whatever bullshit social media thing he sent.
Yeah, that only he's on.
In which he claimed that it was hard to believe that the ICE agent was still alive.
Right. As a result of the impact from the car.
Yeah, based on her running him over so hard.
Yeah.
Like attached to a video of him very clearly walking away fine afterwards.
Yes, having shot her in the fucking head. Yes.
I mean...
And not even being in hospital. Didn't he say he was
he said
recovering in hospital? And
no, he did apparently... Well, according to another statement, he did go to hospital to be checked out, but I don't know. I mean, we don't know where he is because he fled the scene.
Yeah.
He basically disrupted the crime scene by taking one of the vehicles that made up part of the crime scene and left before anyone had any kind of opportunity to investigate. The investigation has now been taken over by the FBI. It's been taken out of state hands, so that's obviously going to be bullshit. There's some activity by the state to try and figure out if there's still an investigation they can do outside of the FBI investigation, but I don't know what they'll be able to achieve. But, I mean, I think people who are politically engaged enough to listen to this podcast almost certainly have already seen all of these videos, and so they will have seen what happened. So it's not really worth talking that much about what you can see in the video. other than the fact that the same videos are being shared on both sides by people who are saying, well, this very obviously and very clearly proves our point that we're making.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
And they're telling you how to interpret the footage. Over on the right, they're saying this is how you need to interpret that footage, but they're putting in details that aren't visible from the footage.
Yeah. Well, they are, from our perspective, I'm being as generous as I possibly can, completely lying about what it shows.
Yeah.
Where I can... I'm really trying hard to be balanced about this, because it's obviously it's made me angry. Obviously, it's made everyone angry who's seen it. It's fucking absurd and horrifying. The area where I can see the most possibility for confusion or belief that there was something wrong in what she did is just before the first shot was fired, in as much as when she is attempting to leave the scene, she starts she doesn't start to move forward before her wheels are turned to the right, away from the ICE agent who is on the kind of the front left of her car. But her wheel spins because it's icy, in a way that suggests that her car would move forward if it had traction. It's a fraction of a second, and he is not in front of the car at that point. But her wheel hasn't fully turned to the right to get around him yet. By the time he fires that first shot, she is moving away from him to the right. And the thing I can't understand at all among any of these people who think they are being genuine, because there's a lot of them who are just lying. They're just absolutely gaslighting. But some of the people, I presume, on the right are looking at the footage and thinking, yeah, she did the wrong thing. He was justified. I can't understand even a percentage of those people who are looking at the second and third shots that he fires when he is fully 90 degrees from her car. She is moving slowly away, and he fires through her side driver window. How you can possibly think to justify those two shots?
It's
insane.
The equivalent of shooting someone in the back.
Absolutely.
Whilst they're walking away. Not having committed a crime or anything. It's just that kind of the zealous, hastily recruited, over-violent, masked up, blinged up ICE agents who are just... It's cowboy stuff. It's the Wild West.
Yeah. It's inadequate, mediocre men who find people challenging them, especially women challenging them, absolutely unacceptable, and grounds apparently for execution.
And all of the other inadequate men who are in charge of the government are all saying absolutely right. They're just heaping calumny on her character.
Calling Renee Good a domestic terrorist. Based on absolutely nothing. And before any kind of investigation has been done and anything has come out. And then when stuff does come out, it's people like Jesse Waters looking at her social media and noting that she has pronouns in her profile, in her bio. Like that's a reason that it's okay she was killed. People harping on the fact that she's a lesbian, making up stuff about her having convictions for physically abusing her children or stuff, which was made up by one person and has had people mocking up arrest records from other accounts that haven't bothered to do the basic research to get the year she was born right. That obviously only fools idiots who already want to believe it, who don't care about whether it's true or not. They just think, well, that makes it okay then. As if that's a death sentence okay thing. Like, all the people who are trying to justify it by saying she was obstructing them, as if that makes it okay. Or that she, there's people saying she ran over him. Obviously, that's not true. But even if it was true, they're ignoring, they're saying she didn't follow the law. She did things that were, like, not following legal orders and that kind of stuff. Therefore, it's okay. Ignoring the fact that he didn't follow procedures that he's supposed to be trained by. The fact he shouldn't have been in front of the car in the first place. The fact that he was fucking filming her with his cell phone the whole time. That he switched the cell phone from his right hand to his left hand about 10 seconds before he even drew his gun with his right hand. Kind of suggesting he was getting ready to do that while he was walking in front of her car. But they're ignoring everything that he did. Everything he did. I was going to say up until the point but they're ignoring all of the stuff he did after he opened fire as well, and swearing at her after he killed her, and the fact that the other ICE agents stopped people from giving her aid, and they waited like 10-15 minutes for the medics to arrive on scene, and all of the stuff that made the situation even worse than just shooting a mother in the face 3 times already makes it. They somehow made that situation worse. And people are ignoring all of the things he did wrong, which was basically almost everything he did. Yep.
Including leaving the
joining
scene
ICE 10 years ago in the fucking first place.
Yeah. And then turning up in unidentifiable non-uniform with a covered face.
Yeah.
And you think, well, if somebody approached you like that, you would drive away because you're thinking, bloody hell, who are they? What do they want? I'm going to get out of here. And the worst fears of that kind of a person who is armed and wearing a face covering is that you're likely to get shot. So you would drive away.
Absolutely.
And sure enough, you get shot.
Yeah.
Because, and under the pretext of law enforcement?
Well, that's the thing.
Made up law enforcement?
The people who, including Jonathan Ross, which is weird to say that name because he's a popular UK broadcaster. But Jonathan Ross, the ICE agent who shot Renee Good, he is a staunch MAGA supporter apparently, and has had like "Don't Tread on Me" flags flying at his house and that kind of thing. And people who are of that opinion, of kind of flying "Don't Tread on Me" and wanting small government and stuff, are now the ones who are saying comply or die, basically. Because she didn't do exactly what an authority figure told her to do, without question, she deserves to be executed. If your stance is that the government gets to say, if you do exactly what we say, we won't kill you, that's fucking tyranny. That's a dictatorship. That's fascism. That's not small government, don't tread on me, libertarianism, leave people to their own devices.
Yeah.
Apart from the right to protest, which is what she was doing, apart from the lying about her kind of blocking the way and not letting people through and all of that kind of stuff, and then the character assassination after the death, it's all just compounding a fucking awful tragedy that all they needed to do, the politicians, this is after it happened, was say, this is a terrible tragedy that shouldn't have happened and we're going to investigate it.
Yeah.
But instead they piled in immediately on her being the bad guy.
Yeah. Because that's what they do, because they're kind of small-minded, dim-witted narcissists who have superiority complexes. They want everyone to comply. This is, for them, it's a gift, because they are basically saying, if you don't do what we tell you, we will kill you.
Yeah.
And that's, without saying it out loud, without having to say it.
Well, some of them are saying it out loud.
Right, yeah.
Some of them are specifically saying that, including elected officials.
Yes.
And, I mean, it absolutely should be said that while this is a very high-profile and horrific situation, part of the reason it's high-profile is because she's a white middle-class person.
Yeah.
And this kind of law enforcement violence against citizens happens routinely to people of colour and low-income people in the US.
Right.
And it doesn't often even get reported on.
Yeah.
And this is conversations that people have to have in their families to make sure that their children comply with law enforcement, because if they don't, they risk being shot in the face.
Yeah.
Routine.
Yeah.
And this is something that doesn't often happen, or as often happen, to
white
middle income people.
Middle Americans. Yes.
And the fact it has means it's a fucking huge news story that causes protests and people around the country and people around the world seeing this and looking and commenting on it. But it's relatively routine for some parts of America already. Not to mention, of course, the horrific treatment by ICE of both immigrants and many citizens of colour because of the incredible ramping up of ICE activities during this Trump administration. The increase from 10,000 to 22,000 ICE agents over the course of 6 months, and the reduction in training that they got. This guy supposedly was a 10-year veteran of ICE and should have known better in so many ways. But, I mean, one of the defences that Vance came up with about it was that he was particularly sensitive about this kind of situation, having been dragged by a car for 50 feet or whatever 6 months ago.
Right.
In that situation, it appears he was using excessive force and reaching into a car and not following protocol.
Right.
And if he was traumatized by that in a way that makes him sensitive and more likely to be violent to people or more likely to do things that are risky, maybe he shouldn't be on the fucking street anymore.
Yeah. Or it shouldn't be
maybe
going
that's not
that
a
close
reason
to vehicles.
that it's okay to excuse him hurting someone or killing someone. That's a reason to give him counselling or remove him from the street.
Yeah. But no, that makes him all the more qualified for being Trump's SS. They're the SS. They're his secret police.
Yeah.
They are the SS.
Yeah.
Fuck. I've just realised that's what they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it is at least plausible that this kind of thing is part of why Trump has increased the ICE presence and is encouraging this kind of bullshit, because the more protest there is against them, the more he is in the future able to claim that these, even more militarized police on the street and ICE and border patrol and so on are needed in America's cities, and who knows, to the point of suspending elections, etc. And he wants desperately, he wants to have the National Guard everywhere and have martial law if he could. And so if he can ramp up societal protests and problems enough to justify doing that, well, there's literally nothing to stop him. He was asked what would stop him when it came to international law and things like that after Venezuela, and he said the only thing that could stop him is his morality. So we are fucked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the one beacon of hope was from the mayor. It said, I have a message for us, get the fuck out of Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Frey needs to still do a lot in terms of pushing it for whatever kind of investigation can be done in his locality before people start trusting politicians at all to do anything about this.
Yeah.
Some Democrats are speaking out about it and very troubled and stuff like that, but it's bullshit. They need to, that stuff needs to happen to whatever extent it can. To even, Democrat, we've talked before about how Democrats aren't in power and there's stuff they can't do, but there's stuff they can do.
Yeah.
And we need to see that they are doing everything they can possibly do.
Yeah. Rather than thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
It's got to be action. It's got to be ordering the fucking ICE to get out.
The person I've seen saying the most about it is, I think, the sheriff of Philadelphia. I forget her first name. Sheriff Bilal, who gave a very strong press conference afterwards, essentially, in more words, saying fuck ICE and fuck Trump, but was saying that her law enforcement officers will not assist and will impede, if possible, ICE in her locality, and they're not going to bow to that kind of stuff. But more of that in more places, more mayors, more governors coming out and kind of saying stuff and actually doing stuff to reduce the presence of ICE and to get them out of causing...
mobilise their police to just arrest them and escort them off the premises.
Yeah. It's also worth noting, I think, that although this particular incident was against a white middle-class woman, its roots at least in terms of the increased ICE presence in Minnesota itself, are racist, because it comes partly from the anti-Somali accusations of fraud that have been ramped up by the president and by other prominent people on the right over the past few weeks. Partly due to, he's not a journalist, he's a YouTuber called Nick Shirley, who claims he's a journalist.
Right,
The guy who showed up at Minnesota daycares and just demanded to see the kids. And obviously they said, who the fuck are you? And no.
Yeah.
And he saw that as evidence that they were actually not looking after any kids and just claiming millions of dollars from the government and stuff like that. And he had a video that went viral about it. And obviously anyone who actually looked at it and went, well, hang on a minute, that's a daycare centre. Of course they're not going to let some shithead in who just comes and demands to see the children. And when people like the Minnesota Star Tribune and CBS and the actual authorities went to these daycare centres, they were like, yeah, they're looking after the kids. It's all fine. They're completely normal daycare centres. But this was based on a fraud case that was actually it resulted in convictions last year, masterminded by a woman called Amy Bock, who's a white woman in Minnesota, who ran a fraudulent food pantry called Feeding Our Future, who cheated taxpayers out of $250 million of pandemic funds.
Wow. Yeah.
Other defendants in the case were Somali American, as there's a huge Somali American society in Minnesota.
Okay. Yeah.
And because of that, Somali Americans have been targeted by accusations of fraud by Trump and by others in relation to that. And then following this viral video that, again, was based on racism, essentially, have claimed, without any evidence, that there's rampant fraud amongst the Somali community in Minnesota. And it's partly because of that the massive increase in ICE troops in Minnesota happened. They called it Operation Metro Surge.
Right.
Which was mid to late December.
Yeah.
They increased the number of federal agents in Minneapolis to 2,000.
Wow.
Well, no, they increased it by 2,000 agents.
Yeah.
And
so it's just justification for, a bit like the other big thing that happened. It's just hunting around for some sort of justification for what is ultimately a massive gerrymandering exercise.
Oh, absolutely,
to prevent them from losing the next election.
Yes,
because
but it's that increased ICE presence that was obviously targeting people of colour in the community.
Yeah,
that Renee Good and others were out kind of observing and looking after their community and people in their community and filming ICE agents to make sure that they weren't breaking the law and being there as a deterrent to illegal behaviour happening, because that's how legal observers work. So, ultimately, part of the reason that this happened was because of that kind of bullshit that was led by Trump, that was increased by Nick Shirley, and that was has been an attack on Somali Americans in that area over the past month. And it's, among other things, among other bad things that have happened in the area, it has led to this.
Yeah.
And it's fucking horrendous. And it needs to stop.
Yes. And it needs, massive condemnation nationwide.
Yeah.
And because what the Trump administration is doing, which they do so well, in a reductio ad Goebbelium, in a Goebbels kind of way, is just dominate the news cycle by just getting in there and splurging all the stuff in before, get the lie out there before the truth has got his trousers on.
Yeah.
It's just fucking appalling. Yeah. And that momentary revelation I had earlier, but ICE is the SS. Far be it from me to reduce everything to Hitler, but there's the lesson from history.
Absolutely.
They are the SS, for
Yeah.
fuck's sake. So somebody needs to just call it out. Good on Rochelle was her name, Rochelle Bilal. Good
That's
on her for calling it out. And And finally, some things we really don't have time to talk about.
Trump's New Year's resolutions were to cut back on the McDonald's and the international war crimes, and like most of us, he didn't make it more than a few days into January before slipping up, eating a Big Mac and kidnapping the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. Let's be absolutely clear, he's a very bad guy who can totally go fuck himself. He's an authoritarian dictator and criminal whose administration has caused the deaths of thousands of his own people and collapsed the economy. But Maduro is also very bad.
Yay!
And that doesn't justify just fucking invading a sovereign country and drop shipping their leader to a US jail. It's like the FIFA Peace Prize doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah.
Trump's allies have, of course, claimed all kinds of noble motives, including liberating the oppressed Venezuelans and holding Maduro to account for drugs trafficked from Venezuela to the US. But Trump has made it as clear as he's ever made anything that this was about the oil. Sure, it was a little bit so they could do a photo opportunity of Trump and his pisshead Secretary of War looking tough while they watched the invasion in a pillow fort they built in Mar-a-Lago's most secure ballroom, but mostly it was about the oil. In fact, not only did Trump not get congressional approval to start his new war, he didn't even tell them it was happening, but he did tell the oil companies so they would be ready to start exploiting the heavy crude that makes up most of probably the largest underground oil reserves in the world. The oil companies, however, aren't jumping at the opportunity, with one energy industry insider telling the Financial Times, "No one wants to go in there when a random fucking tweet can change the entire foreign policy of the country."
Yeah.
Because that foreign policy is, for now, being dictated by Trump, similar to how a dictator might. Because while Maduro's VP, Delcy Rodriguez, is currently nominally in charge, Trump told The Atlantic that if she doesn't do what's right, she is going to pay a very big price, probably bigger than Maduro. As far as Trump is concerned, he's now running Venezuela, which at least gives him something to do while the authors of Project 2025 continue to run the US. Aside from the oil company, someone else might have got a heads up about the attack, since an anonymous trader on the crypto-based betting platform Polymarket bet $14,000 over the new year that Maduro would be ousted by the end of January. Late on January 2nd, that same trader increased their wager to $34,000 just 48 minutes before Trump gave the order to strike.
Whoa.
By the morning, they'd made over $400,000 in profit.
Wow. White House press secretary and increasingly bad advertisement for the empathy of Christianity, Caroline Leavitt, said in a statement that Trump has made it well known that acquiring Greenland is a national security priority of the United States, and it's vital to deter adversaries in the Arctic region. So I'm a bit confused. Who are these adversaries, given that he's so pally-chummy with Putin and Xi? He loves Vlad. Trump is the major apologist for the Kremlin's imperial expansionism. He so badly wants to be in the Dictators We'll Never Forget club, he's taking pages out of Vlad's playbook in Venezuela, for Christ's sake. Who, then, are the adversaries in the Arctic Circle? Björk? As Richard Thunder Hopkins so rightly pointed out to us, it's the oil, isn't it? It's always the oil. Needing, therefore, to hide that fact and not having a murderous despot in charge that they can bomb the drug-smuggling fuck out of and manufacture some Chomsky-esque consent, Leavitt goes on to add the president and his team are discussing a range of options to pursue this important foreign policy goal, and, of course, utilising the US military is always an option at the Commander-in-Chief's disposal. We are witnessing here the kind of thing that prompted Neville Chamberlain to say, "We are therefore at war with Germany." A long-time friend of NATO and resident of the flipping North Atlantic, here's Leavitt gaily stating that Trump is prepared to go to war with a NATO ally. And in accordance with NATO's Article 5, which declares an attack on any member of the 32-nation alliance is an attack on all, Trump's going to end up at war with himself. Rest assured that Keir Starmer will say little or nothing for fear of an abusive social media post in all caps, and Kemi Badenoch will change her tune and believe it to be morally right. After all, let's face it, won't someone think of the muskoxes? Muskoxen. However, we can relax because recently disgraced ex-US Ambassador Peter Mandelson, who's always been so right about very many things, assures us that Trump won't take Greenland by force. I suspect he can't risk any bombs revealing yet more caches of deep-frozen Epstein files, eh?
Say what you like about illegal wars, extrajudicial killings and threats to invade Greenland, but they sure do distract people from all the evidence pointing to the leader of the free world being a paedophile. Or, I should say, from the fact that they still haven't released even 1% of the documents the Epstein Transparency Act required them to release last month.
Wow.
So far, we've seen 12,000 heavily redacted documents, and the DOJ claimed last month there were over 1 million in their files. But then on Christmas Eve, they announced they'd found another 1 million documents down the back of the FBI's sofa that are going to take a few more weeks to scrub Trump's name from. To review. Given that one of their attempts to pretend there was nothing to see here involved claiming all the files had been reviewed, the sudden appearance of 1 million files the DOJ didn't know about calls into question their thoroughness. It's also worth mentioning that the law required the DOJ to submit a report to Congress with a summary of all redactions and the legal justification for each redaction within 15 days of releasing the files. That deadline was January 3rd, and the DOJ has not produced the report. Consequently, Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna, who championed the Epstein Transparency Act in the first place, have asked a federal judge to appoint a special master to oversee the process because, as they say in their request, put simply, the DOJ cannot be trusted with making mandatory disclosures under the Act. I think when it does all get released, it would be fair to give all the world leaders a 5-minute warning to head to their various bunkers because Trump's going to have some major distracting to do.
Yeah. An update on the Nobel Peace Prize Monkey's desperate attempt to be on everything involved with America and Americans. And despite cutting funding for the National Park Service by $1.2 billion, appearing on the America the Beautiful National Parks Pass, Gurning, next to George Washington. A recent email from the Department of the Interior appears to have suddenly updated its void if altered rules for 2026 to include the addition of stickers to the front of the credit card-sized pass. The Park Service pass policy has long stated that passes can be voided if the signature section of the card is altered, which seems fair enough. Somebody masquerading as a legitimate person attempting to muscle their way onto the national landscape. But now the policy mentions stickers on the front of the pass as well, as it seems people are planning to put a smiley face or an elk or anything on the front to cover the narcissist masquerading as a legitimate person in order to muscle his way into the national landscape. Defacing the pass in any way, including writing on it or adding stickers or other coverings, is a form of altering the pass, reads the policy. Altering a pass can cover up important information and requires security features necessary to prevent fraud. The Interior Department didn't respond to SF Gates' questions about the levels of fraud that led to the introduction of security features on park passes in 2017, or any details about fraud ever since. Still, not like Trump's lackeys haven't banded unsubstantiated claims of fraud about before. An employee who works in the damn park service and inspects people's passes said, "I've personally accepted passes that people put stickers on because they just like stickers, and it's never been a problem. If you buy a pass from REI, they have a little sticker on it anyway that a lot of people don't take off. We've accepted those and never had a problem." At what point will somebody stand up and point at Emperor Trump and say, for fuck's sake, he's got no fucking clothes on?
Back in December, we talked about how US District Judge Cameron McGowan Curry had ruled that former insurance lawyer and former Miss Colorado semi-finalist Lindsay Halligan had been illegally appointed as US Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, a job she neither had the experience nor the ability to do. And that resulted in the case against James Comey getting thrown out. Well, Lindsay took a page out of George Costanza's book and just kept showing up to work, and government legal filings continue to list her as US Attorney. This week, a Trump-appointed federal judge, David Novak, took it upon himself to ask the legal equivalent of what the fuck. He gave Halligan 7 days to respond in writing, explaining the basis for identification of herself as the United States Attorney, notwithstanding Judge Curry's contrary ruling. She shall also set forth the reasons why this court should not strike Miss Halligan's identification of herself as United States Attorney from the indictment in this matter. The judge's order goes on to say that Halligan shall further explain why her identification does not constitute a false or misleading statement. He also alluded to potential disciplinary action and demanded that Halligan sign her response. Personally, I think it's about unfair, as Lindsay definitely does not know how to make a legal argument like this, and 7 days is way too short a time for her to learn. He could at least pointed her towards a YouTube channel of a proper lawyer so she could get some pointers.
Excellent. The White House rolled out a new website on Tuesday with a full-blown recast of the historical record of January 6, 2021. Hailing the pro-Trump mob who stormed the US Capitol 5 years ago as peaceful protesters who were provoked by law enforcement. The new site basically claims the violence on January 6, 2021 was instigated by law enforcement and then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. It recasts the rioters as the victims that day and depicts President Donald Trump as a hero for granting sweeping pardons for the nearly 1,600 people charged in connection with the deadly attack. That fiction novel 1984 and the Ministry of Truth is out there, folks. We are at war with Oceania. We have always been at war with Oceania. The constant meaningless war with shifting alliances serves to maintain power and control, not for victory, embodying the party's motto: who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. And I'm simply too depressed by the whole fucking thing to say any more than that. Except, quick, get to the Wayback Machine and print everything off.
One of the most recognisable faces of the pro-Trump mob who definitely didn't do anything of note on January 6th was Jacob Angeli Chansley, a.k.a. the QAnon shaman. He's the bare-chested guy in buffalo horns and face paint. Chansley had been back and forth on his support for Trump, claiming when he went to prison that he'd been duped by Trump, and then after his release, reaffirming both his respect for Trump and his delusional belief that Trump had declassified patents for infinite free energy and other non-existent technologies that would lead to a whole new socio-economic geopolitical system. Despite already being out of prison, he was super happy with the pardon of J6ers in January last year, but now calls the Trump administration a corrupt disaster based on its relationship with Israel and the handling of the Epstein files. Man, that's rough. Trump's doing such a bad job. Even the QAnon shaman who believes Freemasons designed DC so that the buildings on the National Mall amplify the Earth's magnetic field is calling him on his bullshit. It's got so bad that Chansley now identifies as an independent. At least that's what he plans to file as when he runs for Arizona governor this November.
Whoa.
Katie Hobbs seems to be kicking ass in that role currently, so obviously I don't want him to win, but I would be very pleased if he does better than Carrie Lake ever did in that race. Meanwhile, someone who hasn't denounced his support for Trump is Adam Johnson, who's currently running for an at-large county commission seat in Florida. If that name doesn't ring a bell, perhaps you know him better as Lectern Guy. Yes, he's the one who went viral for smiling and waving at a Getty photographer in the Capitol Rotunda while he made off with the House Speaker's lectern. Rather than try to sweep his role in the insurrection under the rug, he goes by the Lectern Guy in his various social media accounts and uses the Getty photo as his profile shot and as his campaign logo. It is Florida, so yeah, that'll probably work.
Yeah. Given the rate of pub closures in England and Wales in 2025, and it stood at 1 per day, not, come on please, drink up time, gentlemen, please, ain't you got no homes to go to kind of daily closures. This is permanently shutting down. 1 every day. Against this background, Chancellor Rachel, no thanks, just a cup of tea for me without milk or sugar or tea, can't afford it, Reeves, was going to be introducing a reassessment of the business rates applied to pubs, which has substantially increased their bills. Following thousands of Labour MPs being banned from pubs, and no doubt Farage snickering his frog face into a carefully staged fag and beer moment, there's been a U-turn. I guess with fewer and fewer pubs, the business rates would have to go up and up to generate the income Reeves mooted. As part of the climb down, the business rate hike is now not going to happen, and the Treasury is also thought to be ready to relax licensing rules to allow longer opening and more pavement areas for drinking. Yeah, look, if you want to raise money, don't shut the places that bring in a hefty tax on alcohol sales down. Let them open longer, with the added advantage we can all stay mightily pissed for an increased number of hours a day to help us cope with this effing government and its thinly disguised Toriness, complete with trust-sized U-turns. Meanwhile, Badenoch says the Tories will channel anger at Labour amid sounds of doors being shut after reformers bolted, in the same week that the Tories say they will ban social media for under-16s. Yeah, way to promote anger in the next voting generation, while satisfying the moral outrage of old guard Tory voting boomers who need their under-16-year-old grandchildren to help them log into Facebook to whinge about the going-ons in their neighbours, for fuck's sake.
So that's all the bad arguments and faulty reasoning we have time for this week. You'll find the show notes at fallacioustrump.com, and if you hear Trump say something stupid and want to ask if it's a fallacy, our contact details are on the contact page.
If you think we've used the fallacy ourselves, let us know, and if you've had a good time, please give us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, or simply tell one other person in person about how much they like our podcast. And you can support the show at patreon.com/ftrump. Just like our newest patrons, Nick.Codes and William Maloney. Our strawman level patrons, Chuck Gray, Mike Smith, LT, Colleen Laila, Richard Thunder Hopkins, Will M. Scott, Mark Reiki and Amber R. Buchanan, who told us when we met her at QED, we could just call her Amber. And at QED in 24, I met the listener who recognised her at QED the year before because we kept using her full name all the time. And last year, we were uplifted by the growth of democracy chronicled at the People's History Museum whilst contemplating the interconnectedness of all things. And our true Scotsman level patrons, Renee Z, Melissa Sitek, Stephen Bickle, Janet Uetta, Andrew Houck, and our top patron, Kaz Tui. Welcome, Nick and William, and thank you so much for your continued support, everyone.
You can connect with those awesome people as well as us and other listeners in the Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/FallaciousTrump or in the Discord at fallaciostrump.com/Discord.
All music is by The Outbursts and was used with permission. So until next time on Fallacious Trump, we'll leave the last word to the Donald.
That's right. Go home to mommy. Bye. Bye.
Trump's New Year's resolutions were cut back on. No, I'll do that again because that's shit. I'm still pissed off. That's the problem. I'm pissed off about Minnesota.
Well, this isn't going to help.
No, it's really not. No, none of this. I mean, I'm not this start of the year is going to go on. I'm not expecting any of this to get any better. Fucking hell. It's midterms this year.